Hello, I'm Malcolm Haslett, and I'm with Henry Olonga. He's one of the world's best cricketers and an amazing performer in so many aspects of his life, including a wonderful singing voice, and he's written a book called Blood, Sweat and Treason. He's also an ambassador for Second Chances, and he's here. Welcome,
I am
Henry.
indeed. Good evening,
Hello.
Malcolm.
Hello.
How
Could
are
be
you?
morning.
Could be
morning.
morning.
Afternoon.
It could be.
Who
Nice to be
knows?
here, though.
It is nice to be anywhere, particularly if you're as old as me. Henry, your background is just so fascinating, and you must be sick and tired of talking about it because I know that everybody wants to know your background, and I have to ask some questions. Bear with us. Where were you born? Going that far back.
Oh, wow. Well, I was born in Zambia in 1976.
And your father was?
My father was Kenyan. My mom was Zimbabwean. They met in Zambia because they were both medical professionals. So my mom was a nurse, my dad was a doctor. They caught each other's eye during one of the ward rounds, I guess, fell in love. My brother came along in 74 and I was born in 76, as I said. And then we lived in Lusaka for maybe a couple of years, and then we went to Nairobi, Kenya, where my dad was from. And it was a fatal error on my dad's part because when we went to Kenya, that's when my mom discovered a little-known secret about my dad. He'd never
mentioned... Can you tell a little... Now, can you tell a little...
Yes, I can.
Okay.
It's been quite a while now, so I'm sure that I can discuss this. But I don't do it to take the mickey out of my dad. It's just something that have profoundly affected our lives. So long story short, you know the part of the wedding when the wedding celebrant says, is there anyone here who knows any lawful reason? Yep, he should have stuck his hand up. Because my dad had been married before to another lady called Priska, and he'd had 10 children with her. Now, that's not a problem. You can be married and remarry, but if you don't divorce the first one, that's a bit of a problem. So my mom discovered, basically, that she'd married a married man. And
he was older?
He was by about a decade, yes,
right.
Than my mom, yes.
Yeah, with 10 children, he'd need to be.
Yeah, so he'd started early in his mid-20s, I guess, and by the time he met my mom, he was pushing, I guess, his mid-30s, and I came along when I think he was 39 or 40. So he was an older dad, and unfortunately, that secret was fatal to the marriage in that my mom couldn't stay in it. She, first of all, didn't get any sympathy from his side of the family. They basically suggested she was overreacting when she heard that she'd married a married man. And they made it very difficult for her. So she decided she was going home to Zimbabwe to go back to her family.
And you went?
And no, we didn't actually. She left us behind, my brother and I.
Okay.
That's no criticism on my mom's part, but she was so devastated that she left. Anyway, my dad felt it would be good for us to be near her. So maybe within a year, he emigrated to Zimbabwe, and that's where I guess we started our new lives, and I went to school and went to junior school and high school there. So
where did the cricket interest start? Was it just sport in general, or was it cricket really sort of sucked you in?
It was running to start with, Malcolm. Okay. Yeah, I was a fast runner. I mean, Kenyans are fast at running, aren't they? You normally see them...
So we've heard.
Absolutely. No,
so we've seen, in fact.
They're normally at the front of the marathon or whatever it is. And so I was a very fast runner. I discovered this at the age of maybe 8 or 9. I raced my brother to the ice cream man. I'd found a dollar coin in the garden, and I said, we're getting some ice cream today. So I raced him, and I was wearing what we call pata-patas in Africa. Yeah. Here in Australia, you have a very unfortunate name for them. You call them thongs. But I beat my brother in thongs, and he was very impressed, and he said, wow, you're fast. And I don't know about you, Malcolm, but when I heard that, my older brother telling me I was good at something, that made me swell up with a bit of pride, and it made me think, okay, let me...
I never had an older brother.
Oh, well, there you go. You'd never know what that felt like.
I've never known that feeling.
But what it did was that affirmation made me feel that I had something that I could use. And so that gift, talent, call it what you will, I was able to use in all sports. So, but first of all, it was track and field. Right. So my heroes, and you're old enough to remember Carl Lewis from the 80s, the great American athlete.
My father told me.
Your father told you. He was my hero when I grew up. And for many years, I wanted to run at the Olympics in athletics. That was my big dream, up until the age of 16, actually. But concurrently, I was playing cricket, and I was also playing rugby and all the other sports my school offered. But in particular, cricket, because we played cricket twice a year. So athletics was only in the first term. We have 3 terms in Zimbabwe, unlike here where you have 4.
Yeah.
But in the first term was cricket, second term was rugby, and third term was swimming. But cricket was first term and third term. So I was having 2 bites at the cherry of cricket, if you will. And so I started to have success, and success led to me being picked for we call them provinces, but you call them states here. Yeah. So I was picked for the state side and ended up playing for the schoolboy team as well. So at the age of 12 and also at the age of 17 and 18. So that's what really put me on the map, and ultimately playing for the national side
right.
later on.
And we've got some shots here of you playing, some very flattering shots of your face, and look at that.
Oh, there you go. Look,
yes.
I was much skinnier then, wasn't I?
Oh, weren't we all? And there's a couple more we've got. I like that one. It looks you're very elevated.
Yes, so that was, I reckon that was the Champions Trophy in Nairobi, Kenya. That was the peak of my career. I think that's...
How old were you?
It was probably early 20s, probably 23, 24 perhaps.
Right.
And not long after that, a couple of years after that, I had retired.
So was that difficult to sort of stop doing that? Did you play socially after that, or did you just have to stop?
No, I've got a long story, and I don't know how much we can get into the bones of it, but long story short, I had a career. I then did a political protest against the president of Zimbabwe, a man called Robert Mugabe.
We all know his name.
That then led to my going into exile, and when I was in England, I did play
So you went to the UK?
I went to the UK. Yeah. That's where I went from South Africa, where I fled. And in England, that's where I started my new life, and one of the people I was associated with ran a cricket club, and so I was with them for 9 years. It was called the Lashings World 11, and it was nothing to do with what you're thinking, nothing to do with that. But it was a cricket team that was comprised of former internationals. So we have had a lot of Australians who actually played. Shane Warne, so sad to see him lost to the world, but he played for us.
Everybody's talked about Shane passing. How did that affect you as another cricketer? Did you see, like, my brother's gone? Or
well, I was shocked. I mean, look, I didn't play with him, so my sense of loss won't be as profound as someone like Steve Waugh or Ricky Ponting. I played against him.
Yeah.
So I played in the '99 World Cup, and he played in that. And,
right.
I think he got in trouble in 2003 with some diuretics or something. But long story short, it was sad because he was 52. He was at the peak of his powers. He was on TV doing all sorts of things. He was commentating. He'd been in the jungle. He'd done all sorts of things. And you just think someone like him, larger than life.
They'll live forever.
They'll live forever.
Yeah, I'm planning to do that.
Well, you're doing a good job.
So you're in the UK, and Miss Wright comes along.
Yes, she was actually Miss Reed.
Oh, okay.
And Miss Reed, Tara, my wife,
we got a lovely shot of you,
You do?
I guess, on your wedding day.
Yes. So, well, it was a smoky bar when we first met, you see, Malcolm.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding. So I came to Australia.
You did very well for yourself, I've got to say.
You're very kind. Thank
I'm
you.
not sure about the hair. I think I would have pulled that up. And yours too, for that matter.
So I met Tara when I came to Australia in '96. At the start of my career.
Oh, you didn't meet her in the UK?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I didn't. So I came. It's a long story. I've got lots to say, but long story. At the beginning of my career, I had a dodgy action. Do you follow cricket at all, Malcolm?
With a tennis racket, maybe, but...
Right. Okay. In cricket, you're supposed to bowl with a straight arm.
Yeah.
Right? If you bend your elbow and straighten it, that's illegal.
Oh, really?
You're not supposed to do that. It's against the rules.
I like the coloured costumes.
So that's day-night cricket, I think.
Okay.
Pajama cricket. Kerry Packer, or whatever his name is.
Hit that ball.
He brought
Just
that in.
hit that ball.
Anyway, so I had a problem with my action, so I had to go all over the world. I went to India. I was in what is now called Madras, but it's called Chennai now.
Chennai now,
It was Madras when I went there.
Yeah.
I spent some time there with Dennis Lilly. Cricket lovers will know who he is. And Joel Garner. And then I came here. So that was 95. 96, I came here to Adelaide. Rod Marsh, here's another man who passed away, sadly. He was running the academy here. And I came here for 3 or so weeks.
Was that to fix?
To fix the wonky elbow, yes.
So I'm talking like I understand.
Oh, no, it's totally fine. That's the right terminology as well, to fix my dodgy action.
Okay.
So on that trip, I bumped into Tara at a social gathering. And so that was 96. So for the next 8 years, we just stayed in touch as
Were you
pen pals, friends.
But were you staying here in Australia, or were
No. I came for 3 weeks.
Just all over? Yeah, okay.
I came for 3 weeks.
Yep.
I landed. I did my training. I went back.
We have someone working on the crew that has a very similar story to you.
You do?
Yeah, you must meet him afterwards.
Oh, very good. I might have met him already, though.
You have. Yep. Keep talking. We're running out of time.
Okay. Anyway, so I don't know. You've got to ask me a question, Malcolm.
Oh,
so
of course I
I'd
will.
answer the last one.
Okay, so this is your background.
Yes.
And then you've stopped playing cricket.
I have. My wife was in England. We started a family.
She's a teacher.
She's a teacher. So we got married. By the way, back to the photo. We got married in 2004.
Yep.
We to and fro between England and Australia, and then we lived in England for, I don't know, 12 or so years, and then
couldn't resist the lovely weather we have here in Australia.
Yes, true.
Bring up your children here.
Tara said that she found England wet, miserable, and cold, and she was talking about the people, not the weather.
Oh, only in the summer and winter. Listen, we're going to be back talking to Henry, but we're talking about this voice that this man has, not just his pitching, bowling, but his amazing voice. We'll be back in just a tick. And we're back with Henry Olonga. Henry, so you're in Australia, you've done all these amazing things in the past, and now you do two other amazing things. The first one is The Voice. What made you go on The Voice? Because you've got one.
Well, you're very kind. First of all, just one minor correction. You said I was a great cricketer. I wasn't, actually. I was really lucky
Well, the internet says you were.
Well, they're lying. The internet's lying. Well, it was very kind of you. But
well, them. Don't blame me. It was them.
So I was lucky. I was lucky that I had an association with a charity, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a second.
Yep.
And through that association, I ended up doing a concert with the police band.
Right.
So we performed at the town hall. We had a decent audience in, and I'm pretty sure someone pulled their phone out and illegally recorded the evening. Anyway, somehow it worked its way, that video worked its way to one of the scouts from The Voice, and I just basically got an email in my inbox, and it was a lady who said she worked for ITV, which is a British broadcaster.
Yes.
So when I replied, I said, well, I assumed she thought I was in England. So I said, no, I can't. That's very kind of you to invite me on The Voice, but I'm in England. Sorry, I'm in Australia. And she corrected me and said, no, we actually produced the show here in Australia. Yeah. So I thought, oh, gosh, what do I do now? So I spoke to my friends, I spoke to my wife.
Yeah, just stop for a minute. So did you always sing from childhood?
I did. I started off by not being accepted in any plays that I auditioned for in primary school.
Oh, okay.
So there were 5 plays. I auditioned for every single one of them, and they didn't care. They didn't think I was good enough.
Because?
Well, they just didn't rate me.
Okay.
So I got to high school and I thought, well, I've got a little trick up my sleeve here. I'm at a new school, no one knows me, so I'll go for the audition. So cutting a long story short, Malcolm, I auditioned and I got in the play. But I didn't know that in a boys-only school, if there are going to be girls in the play, they're going to find the young boys who've got high-pitched voices.
Oh, were you a boy soprano?
I was. So
Did you have long hair then?
No, I didn't. You weren't allowed to.
Okay.
But I was a girl in the girls' chorus of Oklahoma. You're a cultured man. So
somebody got that wrong. I know. Oklahoma,
yes, but I was in the girls' chorus. So that was my first role as a singer or as anyone in the performance arts.
I know where this is going.
But I was called the ugliest girl they'd ever had in any play. So by the third term, I said to the teacher who'd auditioned me that I decided I'd become a tenor. And so from then on, I sung as a tenor, and I got picked for 5 more plays in the school, and I got a principal role in every single one of them. So I was a narrator in Joseph and his Technicolor Dreamcoat. I was Frederick in the Pirates of Penzance.
So really, you're talking about musical shows rather than plays.
Sure. Well, sure. Yes. So there's a bit of singing. And
a lot of singing in the Pirates of Penzance.
Absolutely. So I was Frederick. So I had the lead role in that, and my music was actually. I was on the cusp of being offered a scholarship by the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art. They had a scout come out, he heard me sing, and he loved my voice.
That's incredibly impressive.
And he made an offer.
But the way I introduced you before, that's right. I was right when you were saying, no,
No.
you go.
Anyway, so the reason I didn't take that up was because I then ended up playing Test cricket.
Yeah.
So they clashed and I couldn't do both.
There are performance both ways, though. When you think about it, you've really got to train to be both.
Yes, correct. But obviously the fortune was I knew that I could always pick up my singing later on in life. I'd always been told the voice matures much later on anyway. So I then retired, lived in England, came here, and when I was here, I thought, crumbs, what am I going to do? You know, I'm still sort of a stay-at-home dad. My wife's got a great job as a teacher, but I knew I wanted to express creatively and artistically. So I put my name out there, and I'd been singing in England as part of my presentation. So I do a lot of corporate work. People invite me to come tell my story. I talk about cricket, I talk about the politics, and then I sing a song. And so that opened doors here and there. And obviously when I came here, the opportunity to go on The Voice had come in 2019. I'd already been here 4 years. So I'd already started to be around the circuit. But it was a great opportunity. I loved being on the show, and unfortunately, I got booted out after the third round. But that's how those shows roll.
Yeah, well, that's that type of television, really,
Yes.
and not to demean that, but we've got to ask ourselves at the end of the day, who's come from those shows that becomes, you know, an accepted performer.
Absolutely. So well, there's one. And that's Guy Sebastian,
well, that's
right?
one, yes. Well, there's a few others.
Oh, well, no, there are a few others.
Yeah, there's
absolutely.
a few others that have had success, but really, it's a game show, is what it is. There's going to be winners and losers in it, and it doesn't really matter how talented you are. If it's a vote of the public, you know, how many relations have you got to ring up how many times to make it happen? Is the truth. Anyway, you did it though, but that gave you national exposure. We're going to have a look at that, the initial clip, in a minute. But the other thing that's really important is the other thing in your life with Second Story.
Second Chances.
Second Chances.
Second Chances is a charity that I got involved with, crumbs, I think in 2015. I'd done a presentation at a breakfast at the convention centre. Spoke to 1,000 people. It was the first gig I had in Australia when we came back.
Right.
And I think it was a prayer breakfast, actually. And long story short, after that speech that I gave, this larger-than-life lady came and introduced herself, Helen Glanville, whom you've spoken to on the phone and interviewed.
No, she's been on the program.
And she basically...
So we should just explain, the organisation is for the children of people who have been incarcerated to basically give them a second chance.
Correct. And well...
Sort of.
Sort of, because we're trying to really work with the prisoners themselves or the people who are incarcerated. So I have gone to various prisons over the years and spoken to the gentlemen there, or the ladies.
As a visitor?
Yes, as a visitor.
Just clearing
Absolutely.
that up.
Thanks for the clarity.
Anyone was asking, they just
Thank you for the clarity.
That's
yes.
all right.
And basically try to inspire them to, I guess, look through a different lens and try and consider that they can make better choices next time. And I think it's in everyone's interest, isn't it?
Sure. But if you wrap that up with your life, with your backstory of all the things that's happened to you, you have an inspirational life.
Well, I guess it's inspirational enough that people want to hear my story. So,
but also to follow a dream and to move forward with the dream, you know, to take what you're given physically and to go out and use it. You know, you wonder how many people are in prison or incarcerated who could be a lot of other things, but they just got off on the wrong foot.
No, absolutely. And this is something we recognise, that there is a cycle, and sometimes it's the kids that we're trying to save, but if you dig deeper and you look at the parents, they may have come from a family of crime themselves.
Of course,
so
and that's the problem.
You know, and so there's a level of compassion we ought to have. You know, generally people are very judgmental of people who are in the system.
Well, as they were on The Voice, judgmental.
Yes.
And look, here's, what was it called? It's the first appearance you made.
So it's called the blind auditions.
The blind
That's
auditions.
when you try to turn the chairs.
Okay, here's a bit of Henry on the blind auditions.
The greatest moment of them all.
We've just seen Henry performing on The Voice. So what happens after The Voice for you?
Well,
You're a
things
dad.
were looking up,
Oh, yes.
and then COVID.
And yes, for everybody.
So anyway, I'm a stay-at-home dad. I love working with the kids, trying to inspire them to follow their dreams.
How many have you got?
Got 2 girls.
Okay.
Soon to be 10, soon to be 12 and soon to be 10.
What, 12 girls and 10 boys?
No, I'm not like my dad.
Are
No,
you-
no.
Oh, you know, it runs in the family. So
yes.
are you teaching them to bowl? What are you...
No, they've got their own. They're into TikTok videos, and you'd think
course
I'd be able to inspire them to sing, to run, to throw, to
No,
something,
because
right?
you're the father.
But yeah, so my youngest loves her gymnastics, and my eldest, well, yeah, she's the creative one, so she's more into making videos, and so maybe she'll be here in 10 years at UniSA studying media. Who knows?
Who knows? So what do you want to do? Now, you've had this fascinating life. You've stood up for what you believe in.
Well, onwards and upwards with the music. So I'm going to take my career by the scruff of the neck and turn it into something. So I'll just release music by myself. So YouTube, I've got a YouTube channel. It's my name. And watch the space.
Watch this
Music
space.
videos, more music, onwards and upwards.
It's the live performance, though, that in many ways I think could well be your future. It's great to publicise who you are on those platforms, but to see you in the flesh is a big difference, I think.
Yeah, I'd love that.
Yeah.
But of course, COVID closed everything down. But with things opening up now,
But we're moving
hopefully I'll
on.
have a show of some sort.
Henry, it's been really lovely both to meet you and to chat with you.
Thank
I
you,
love
Malcolm.
your sense of humour. If you see this guy performing anywhere, make sure you get out and see him. So thanks for being our guest. Thank you for being with us. We'll see you next time, so keep yourself nice till then.